Welcome back, Rivals fans. Today, we're diving into one of the most game-changing aspects of Marvel Rivals, crowd control. Yep, those heroes and villains who know exactly how to keep the enemy team scattered, stunned, and completely out of sync. Let's be real, in a 6v6 match, it's way too easy for the enemy squad to huddle up and unleash a barrage of coordinated chaos. That's where our CC champions come in, turning the tide of battle with abilities that disrupt, slow, and downright frustrate the competition. Now, don't get me wrong, mastering crowd control isn't just about spamming a few flashy powers and hoping for the best. It's all about timing, precision, and knowing when to ruin the enemy team's party. But trust me, when you nail it, the payoff is so satisfying. Imagine stopping an oncoming wave of enemies dead in their tracks, or scattering their formation just as they're about to pull off a killer combo. Sounds awesome, right? Stick around because we're about to break down the best crowd control characters in the game and how to use them like a pro. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. Alright, let's talk about the ultimate multitasker when it comes to crowd control in Marvel Rivals. Penny Parker and her futuristic tech arsenal. If you've ever dreamed of dominating the battlefield while casually dropping a nest of chaos-inducing spider drones, then Penny is your go-to vanguard. Seriously, her bionic spider nest isn't just a skill. It's a miniature party where every enemy is on the guest list, and spoiler alert, the theme is destruction. These little drones chip away at health bars like they've got somewhere to be, making them perfect for softening up clusters of enemies. Now, let's talk sneaky. Penny's arachnomines are basically a trap lover's dream. Imagine scattering explosive surprises across the battlefield, only for your enemies to waltz right into them like it's their grand entrance. These mines are sneaky, practically invisible if you're not looking closely, and when they go off, they deliver a hefty dose of AoE damage. It's the ultimate gotcha moment, and let me tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than watching your opponent scramble after one of these detonates. And just when you think you've seen all her tricks, Penny pulls out her cyberweb snare to ruin someone's day. This move is a game changer. Whether you're immobilizing the enemy team's tank or shutting down their healer, it throws a massive wrench into their strategy. Plus, there's just something so satisfying about watching the toughest enemy on the field flailing helplessly in a web while your team moves in for the kill. Penny Parker doesn't just crowd control, she crowd dominates. And that's why she's an absolute must-pick for players who love a little chaos with their control. Alright, let's talk about Venom, the master of chaos and crowd control in Marvel Rivals. This guy doesn't just walk into a fight, he crashes in, literally. His frenzied arrival ability is the stuff of nightmares for enemy teams. Picture this. Venom leaps into the air and slams down like a wrecking ball, sending anyone unlucky enough to be in his radius flying. Not only does it deal damage, but it also forces enemies to scatter, breaking up their formation and leaving them vulnerable. You don't just fight Venom, you survive him. Now, let's talk about cellular corrosion because wow, this move is as nasty as it sounds. Venom whips out those horrifying symbiote tentacles, grabbing anyone in reach and slowing them to a crawl. And if they can't break free in time, oof, they're taking damage on top of it. This move is a nightmare for coordinated teams. Think you're about to pull off a game-winning play? Not if Venom has anything to say about it. He locks you down, and suddenly your brilliant strategy is falling apart faster than you can say, "Help!" But here's the catch. Venom's power comes at a price. He's a little slow on foot, so you've got to time those abilities just right. And yeah, getting in close can be risky, but when you pull it off, oh, the chaos is so worth it. Whether he's scattering a team with frenzied arrival or snaring them in place with cellular corrosion, Venom is the guy to call when you want to turn the tide of battle. Use him wisely and you'll have your opponents running for the hills, or just flying through the air. Alright, let's dive into the shocking world of crowd control, literally. Because we're talking about Storm, the queen of slowing, stunning, and just generally ruining her enemy's day. If you've ever wanted to feel like a walking natural disaster, Storm's the pick for you. Seriously, who doesn't want to summon tornadoes and lightning like it's just another Tuesday? Now let's talk about Goddess Boost, because this ability is a total game changer. Picture this, you're surrounded by enemies and suddenly you activate a tornado that not only gives you a speed boost, but also slows everyone around you. Or switch it up to Thunder mode and bam! You're zapping foes with lightning strikes like Zeus on a caffeine binge. It's not just flashy, it's ridiculously effective for keeping entire groups of enemies in check. Oh, and pro tip? Watch that big ring around Storm when you're using her abilities. That's your AoE range, your personal danger zone for making sure everyone's having a bad time. And don't sleep on Bolt Rush. This ability shoots a lightning bolt forward, hitting multiple enemies in one go. It's perfect for clearing out crowds or just making sure no one feels left out of the chaos. Heroes who focus on single targets can only dream of handling mobs as easily as Storm does. She's not just powerful, she's efficient. So, if you're all about commanding the battlefield with style and a bit of shock value, pun totally intended, Storm is your go-to gal. Alright, here's one for all the strategists out there. Groot doesn't just bring the fight, he redefines the battlefield. This guy is a walking game changer, literally walling off entire groups of enemies like he's the bouncer at an exclusive club. His Thornlash and Ironwood walls aren't just defensive tools, they're surgical instruments for slicing the enemy team into helpless little chunks. Healers stuck at the back? Forget it, they're not getting past Groot's botanical barricades anytime soon. And let's talk about those walls for a second. Ironwood isn't just a name, it's a tanky blessing in disguise. Every time Groot or his allies deal damage near it, Groot gets bonus health, so the longer he's in the fight, the harder he is to take down. Pair that with Thornlash Wall's ability to smack nearby enemies and keep them disoriented, and you've got a recipe for pure chaos on the enemy side. Trust me, if you're a fan of crowd control, Groot is the hero you didn't know you needed. Oh, and we're not done. Groot's got another ace up his sleeve, the Spore Bomb. It's like the cherry on top of his crowd control sundae. This bad boy explodes in a glorious burst, taking a chunk out of enemy health and making those fragile healers wish they'd stayed in the lobby. Honestly, there's nothing more satisfying than watching an enemy team fall apart piece by piece, all thanks to Groot's ability to turn a skirmish into a one-sided stomp. If you want to dominate the battlefield with style and a little bit of bark, Groot's your guy. Picture this. You're deep in a match, your team is holding its own, and then, BAM! Scarlet Witch starts winding up her ultimate. Panic mode activated, right? Not if you've got Mantis on your side. This green-thumbed strategist isn't just a guardian of the galaxy. She's the guardian of your sanity in Marvel Rivals. Why? Because her Spore Slumber ability can single-handedly turn the tide of any battle. With a flick of her wrist and a well-timed spore, she sends an enemy to Dreamland faster than you can say, game over. Let's talk about how ridiculous this skill is for crowd control. Spore Slumber isn't just about putting someone to sleep, it's about making them irrelevant. That pesky duelist diving your backline? Nap time. An enemy tank trying to soak up damage? Nighty-night. And the best part? The cooldown is short enough that you can keep ruining the enemy's plans again and again. You can even use it to completely cancel ultimates. If you hear the Punisher or Scarlet Witch gearing up for some chaos, just yeet a spore at them and watch their big play fizzle out like a dud firework. It's pure satisfaction. What makes Mantis so fun is that she's a team player through and through. She doesn't just control the fight, she sets it up on a silver platter for her duelist buddies to clean house. Lock down the threats, disrupt the big plays, and make the enemy team feel like they're constantly one step behind. Seriously, if you're looking for a character that's equal parts strategic and infuriating for the other team, Mantis is it. Alright, here's the deal, folks. If you're looking for a character in Marvel Rivals who can single-handedly turn a chaotic brawl into a highlight reel, Captain America is the guy. The man doesn't just bring the Star-Spangled Shield, he brings mayhem, knockups, and multi-hit madness that can completely wreck the enemy team's plans. Seriously, Cap is the blueprint for crowd control done right. Let's talk about his Super Soldier Slam, an ability so satisfying it feels like the hammer of justice coming down. Cap leaps into the air and slams down onto a targeted area, sending enemies flying like popcorn in a hot pan. This isn't just for show. The knockup makes it easy to pick off scattered enemies while their team scrambles to regroup. Whether you're setting up kills for your team or just causing chaos for the sake of it, this move is peak power fantasy. And don't even get me started on the Vibranium Energy Saw. Tossing that iconic shield and watching it ping-pong between enemies is like living out every superhero montage ever. It's not just flashy, it's strategic. Force your enemies to spread out to avoid the ricochets, and suddenly their tight formation is toast. No more coordinated pushes, no more synchronized ultimates, just Captain America ruling the battlefield like the MVP he is. Play him smart, and you'll make the enemy team wish they'd brought a lot more shields of their own. You know what's better than taking down one enemy? Taking down all of them while they're too stunned or slow to fight back. Enter Winter Soldier, the ultimate chaos bringer in Marvel Rivals. This guy doesn't just crash the party, he flips the table, steals the snacks, and leaves your enemies wondering what just hit them. Whether it's one unlucky target or a whole squad, Winter Soldier thrives on disrupting the flow of battle. Let's talk skills, because they're the real MVPs here. First, we've got Trooper's Fist, a brutal dash that scoops up enemies like they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, because they are. And if you're thinking, oh, they'll just recover, think again. This move sends them flying, giving you and your team all the breathing room you need to clean up. Then there's Tainted Voltage, which is basically an electric high five of doom. It's a ranged attack that zaps multiple enemies, slows them down, and leaves them wishing they'd stayed in bed that day. The beauty of Winter Soldier is his flexibility. You can focus on a single enemy, punishing them for standing out, or go full chaos mode and control the crowd. His ability to keep enemies on edge, whether they're airborne or crawling at snail speed, makes him a standout DPS option. And let's be honest, there's nothing more satisfying than watching your opponents scramble while Winter Soldier casually wrecks their plans. Alright, buckle up because we're diving into one of the most unexpected heavy hitters in Marvel Rivals, Squirrel Girl. Yeah, you heard that right. She's not just about cute woodland creatures and nutty antics. She's a duelist powerhouse with some of the best crowd control in the game. Trust me, once you see her in action, you'll never underestimate the power of squirrels again. Let's talk about her skills. First up, Squirrel Blockade. Picture this. You launch an acorn, and bam! Squirrel guards swoop in to imprison the first unlucky enemy they see. It's like giving your enemies a timeout, Marvel style. The trick here is aiming it right, land it on a tank or healer, and you're golden. Suddenly, their team's frontline or healing support is out of commission, giving your squad the perfect opening to dominate the fight. It's strategic, it's satisfying, and oh boy, does it turn the tide of battle. Now, her ultimate is where things get wild. Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami lives up to its name. She summons a literal horde of squirrels that flood the battlefield, bouncing off structures and swarming enemies. It's chaos in the best possible way, with a wide AoE that dishes out damage while scattering foes like leaves in the wind. If you time it right, you're not just controlling the crowd, you're straight up owning the fight. Honestly, few things in Marvel Rivals are as hilariously satisfying as watching an entire enemy team get overwhelmed by squirrels. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.